Welcome to Short Economics. Today we will discuss on law of demand. Demand. Demand actually refers to the desire for a commodity backed by enough purchasing power. Just a desire without purchasing power cannot be treated as a demand. More specifically, demand can be defined as the quantity of the product that the consumer is willing to buy at different prices within a given period of time, provided determinants of demand remains unchanged. Many factors are influencing demand. Those factors are price of the product, price of related goods, income of the consumer, taste and preference of the consumer. These factors generally called as determinants of demand. If you take the case of the price of the product, when price of the goods or service increase, what happen? The consumer will reduce the consumption and vice versa. Price of the related goods. If you take the case of the complementary goods, what happens? The price of the one good will influence the demand for the another good. So even price of the related good also somehow influence or determinant demand. Income of the consumer is one of the most prominent determinant of demand. If the income increases, the demand for goods and services also will increase. If income decreases, the demand for the goods and services will decrease. So we can say that income of the consumer is one of the most determinant of demand. And at the same time, taste and preference of the consumer also considered as the another main important determinant of demand, because taste and preference of the consumer very often changes. Even as the time moves, the taste and preference of the consumer changes. The same way the demand for that particular good or service also will changes. So these are the main determinants of demand. We discussed about the demand. Then what is law of demand? The law of demand speaks about the relationship between price and demand. The law of demand states that other things being constant, quantity demanded of a product varies inversely with its price. That means when price rises, quantity demanded falls, and when price falls, quantity demanded rises. Other things refers to the determinants of demand as a price of related goods, income and taste and preference of the consumers, etc. The law of demand can be explained in a table form. The left column shows the price and the right column shows the quantity demanded. The law of demand can be expressed in a tabular form is called a demand schedule. Here in the table you can see that as price falls from 16 to 8, what happens to the quantity demanded? The quantity demanded is increased from 5 to 9. If we draw a graph based on the demand schedule, then we will get the demand curve. Demand curve. It is a graphical presentation of the demand schedule or the law of demand. It shows a negative relationship between quantities demanded of a product at various prices. If you look upon the diagram, you can see that the demand curve has a negative slope. It slopes downward from left to right. So it shows that a fall in price leads to a rise in demand, and rise in price leads to fall in demand. So the law of demand says that whenever the price of the good increases, the quantity demanded decrease and vice versa. But it is not applicable in every situation. It has certain exceptions like good with a snob appeal, uncertain product quality and given goods. If we consider goods with a snob appeal, we can see that the items like jewelry, fancy cars are valued based upon their price. If the price is increased, then what happens? The quantity demanded for these items will be increased. So here in these situations, law of demand is not applicable. Then at the same time, the product with the high quality. So normally people may not be knowing the quality of the product. So people judge the quality of the product based upon the price. If the price is higher, people imagine or think that the quality is much better. So even as the price increases, what happens? The demand also will increase. So even here also we can see that it's an exceptions to law of demand. Then when we consider the case of the given goods, people consider certain goods are inferior. Okay, as price of these good falls, people do not purchase much of those items. Again, it shows an exception to law of demand. Thank you for listening. Short Economics.